For the better part of my career, more than 20 years, I've been a corporate girl in supply chain management and logistics or classical marketing. But come 2020, COVID and the Great Reset, I got an opportunity to work in a non-profit organization which was helping young unemployed people to be able to break out of that trap of unemployment by connecting them with their first employment opportunity, allowing them to build experience, build that reference letter, and then move on to bigger opportunities. My name is Novantu Nkulwana, and in this season of my life, my ambition is to help the emerging social entrepreneur to be able to flatten that learning curve, scale up their projects, and deliver more impact quicker than ever before. Join us on the NPO Bootcamp as we show you how to level up your social enterprise. Okay, so as we wrap up on the Abigail program, let me just make sure that I've got it correct. So it's a 9-month-long initiative, and you get the ladies a week at a time. And then if somebody's looking at this and thinking that I want to be on that program, how do they get hold of you?
They can go to our website, they can email us, or they can phone the office.
Okay, wonderful. And it is a program that I take in person. It's not online, on Zoom, or anything like that.
We haven't done it like that, but we have the capacity to do it online as well.
Okay, so I don't have to be confined to the VAR or Gauteng. So now how will it work if it's like that? Do I then need to find people in? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to come with your whole stock file to say we want to do this. You will start for the number. I can come and sign up on my own, and you can connect me online.
Yeah. As long as we do have the sponsorship.
Okay, great. And you said there's discussions underway to get a sponsorship going.
Yeah,
so
we're definitely going to do a Abigail program.
It sounds incredible, like total life changer.
It is.
Okay.
You're welcome to attend the next one.
I want to attend. It sounds so amazing. So now let's look at the flip side of it. Do you have an equivalent for gentlemen or males?
We do. We just call it our SME, which is small, micro, medium enterprise development.
And then what are the subtle nuances there?
Well, it's a mixed group. So obviously, we don't go to the emotional stuff as much, but we still bring in personal development, emotional intelligence, personal development, leadership development. So it's still part of the program.
Right.
I think about 10 years ago, we had a partnership with Emerald Resorts.
Okay, yes.
Casino.
Yes.
And we had a SME conference, and more than 300 businesses attended it. We had amazing presenters, and out of that, we have actually started with this business training course, and we still have contact with some of those businesses.
That is incredible. Wow, hey? You guys are doing really, really amazing work. So you're saying in this other program, it's a mixed cohort. It's not about males, it's about females.
It's just business.
It's just together. So then how do you decide if you've got multiple entrants and you're going to be running both of them at the same time? How do you determine who will get more benefit out of the Abigail program versus the non-Abigail program, for want of a better word?
Well, obviously I think we go deeper with the Abigail program in terms of emotional stuff, emotional healing, inner healing, that kind of thing. Because how do you run a successful business if you still suffer from trauma?
Without being a toxic boss, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, and it's just that we do have a heart for women. And you can't go that deep in a mixed group, obviously. You're not going to have the same discussions. So if you're a female, rather go to the Abigail. Okay. But if the other one opens up, it's the same templates, it's the same theory, it's the same, even the practical exercises are the same.
But in terms of inner healing and work,
it might be
deep work.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. What else have you got? We've covered, this is now business training programs.
Yeah.
We've covered ones for the education space, for youngsters, for the teachers, for early childhood development. What else do you offer?
Well, I think our core business and what we originally started with was non-profit development. So we've always done training with NPOs. And as LUSA, we developed a proficiency index, which is like a mini audit. So it calculates risks and it has a gap analysis. So we go to an NPO, we do it on the computer. We look at what you have in place, what don't you have in place, and based on the gap analysis of the proficiency index, we then tailor-make training programs for your organization.
Wow.
Or organizations in that community.
Okay, but now stop, Veronica. So the NPO landscape is so diverse. There's a woman next door who's running an NPO and it's a soup kitchen. And then there is a sophisticated NPO like you that has got so many of these touch points. Surely you can't have one scorecard for all of them.
We do actually have two.
Okay.
So we have, we call it a community-based proficiency index, which is not as detailed. Doesn't go into so much detail because we know they're not going to have half of it.
Yes.
And then we have the top proficiency index. So we do have two different.
Okay, so based on my size and where I am in this life cycle, you tailor make it. So let's take us to the basic one for the community-based organizations. What are some of the metrics that you would assess there and how would you do that?
Well, first of all, we need to understand what their board looks like, because that's where a lot of NPOs self-sabotage.
Does everybody have a board? Have to have a board?
Yeah, you have to have a board.
Even if I'm a one-man band, I just started yesterday. I have to have a board.
Well, if you want an NPO number, you do need a board. And you can't fundraise if you don't have an NPO number.
Okay, so it's not about the size at which I'm at today. In order to lay the foundation right and get a registration certificate, there are supposed to be people that are operating as a board in that environment.
Yeah.
Let's understand the role of the board. What are they there to do?
Well, the first thing is a lot of NPOs and CBOs have the wrong board members because they use family members or friends or unemployed volunteers and make them board members. And that's not what a board is supposed to do.
Okay.
You need people that are successful, people that have networks, people that can open doors for you, people that can help you think, people that can help you to strategically plan your development over the next 5-10 years. So when we start working with the NPOs, all of them say, oh, well, my board is completely wrong, and we say yes. So let's see how you can fix it, because you actually have to headhunt members.
So before you go into the fixing, how did we end up in this position where my board composition does not serve me? Did I not understand what needed to be done, or was it just quick and easy to get my family members?
There's no real training out there that you can...
We don't know.
Even when I started, there wasn't a training program. I had to figure all these things out myself. Eventually, I got hold of other organizations and I could learn from them. But that's why we are totally different, you know.
And now you're saying to everybody, come to the light.
Yeah.
Come to the light.
So what happened with COVID was all the training programs we've had, we have uploaded onto our LMS platform. And everything you could possibly want to know about an NPO, about basic compliance, governance, financial management, strategic planning, risk management, how do you write a business plan, how do you fundraise, how do you market, all of that we've got on our LMS platform with templates, with contracts, with policies, everything. Because I never had it, and we wanted to offer this service.
So if you're somebody that's watching this and you have no aspirations to make Veronica your new best friend, what are you doing with your life?
It's a really user-friendly, our LMS platform. And as I say, we go to such detail. We even have a whistleblowing policy.
Stop, because now you're running away with me. How did we get here? We are assessing an early stage, not complex NPO. And the first thing we look at is the board, right? What is the next thing that we look at?
Well, with the board.
And then what we are finding is a lot of them haven't got their boards right, and then there's a solution to help them fix.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What is the next?
They obviously need a constitution.
Okay.
With the board members attached.
Okay.
And that is into social development. So then they get the NPO registration.
Okay.
They can go the NPC route as well, but it's not always necessary.
Okay.
And then
So if somebody is in two minds or they're actually not clear, I have this idea for a non-profit entity. I don't know whether I should register it as an NPO or as an NPC. How would you say to them, these are the things that you need to consider to help you make the right decision?
you need an NPO number anyway
Okay.
to do fundraising. A lot of the big non-profits in South Africa have NPO numbers or not NPC. It is cheaper to do the NPO. It doesn't cost any.
I think that point went right over my head. So if you register an NPC, you don't get an NPO number.
No, you still have to get an NPO.
That will be a secondary step.
Yeah.
Okay, because the registration portals are different.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. The one is the companies, the other one is the social development.
Okay.
And then you get SARS. So the next step is to get an 18A registration with SARS, which is basically that enables you to give tax relief to your donors.
What does that mean?
So let's say I make R1 million as a company and I donate 100,000 Rand to an 18A non-profit. I'm only taxed on 900,000.
Yes, please. So the capitalists will love it.
Yeah, obviously it's a win-win, so I mean, if I'm in a business, I want to see how can I save, how can this benefit. So
Okay.
it makes a big difference if you are an 18A.
Wonderful. So this was step 2 on your registrations, right? And then the next thing that you assess is?
Then we go into that's basic compliance, but it is also governance. We want to look at how do you govern your NPO on business principles. Because if you don't run your NPO on business principles, you're not going to be sustainable.
What does it look like to run my NPO on business principles? What are the things that I should be doing? What are the things that I should not be doing?
Well, first of all, you need a budget. You need a plan. You need to...
As in an annual budget, as in income statement. So I sit with the board before the financial year starts and we say, our ambition for this year is to do these kind of programs that are going to cost this much. This is how much we're going to pay for ourselves. This is how much the telephones are going to cost. And it must all be documented.
Yes.
And how many of us are doing that right now?
In South Africa.
In South Africa.
I would be very surprised if it's 20%.
And that's governance.
Yeah.
And that's just because we don't know that it's required.
A lot of people out there start an NPO or a CBO because they see a challenge.
Totally.
They see children that are in the
Completely.
street. They see
Completely.
mental ill people not having a place to go, and they just want to help.
Yes.
So then they open their doors and they start helping, and the challenge is they're not compliant. So a corporate is not going to support them because you don't have your board in place, you don't have the registration in place, you don't have a budget, you don't have even minutes. When we do our proficiency index, we ask them, so show us your staff minutes, show us your board meeting minutes. A lot of them don't even keep that.
We are not keeping track. We don't keep the minutes because we're not having the meetings, or we're having the meetings and it's just a talk show.
Well, they say they have the minutes, but there's no proof. They say they have the meetings, but there's no minutes to prove it. So how do you know? And then when you start really asking difficult questions, but my mother-in-law is the treasurer, that's a no-no. It's against the law. You cannot do that. And a lot of NPOs are run like family businesses.
Yeah.
And then if my grandmother who started it passes away now, I sort of just assume the role. It doesn't work like that. With a community organization, you can never own a community organization. It's not like a business.
Okay.
So you can be fired at any time because the board keeps on changing. The board must keep on changing. Every second year you need to bring in more board members.
But now you already showed us that some of us don't even have a board. So that's why I can have the wrong mindset and think this is my operation and I do as I please.
And that's unfortunately the reality.
Yeah.
A lot of CBOs see the NPO as their business, and it's not. And they're not really sustainable because the other challenge is what we've seen a lot of times over the years is the minute you do get, for instance, lotto funds, okay, or a big sponsorship, then the board want to eat the money.
What do you mean eat the money?
They want to get the money.
But we got lotto money because we went to the National Lotteries Commission and we said we want to do this project and this is how much it's going to cost. So why do we now want to eat the money instead of do what we said we wanted to do with it?
It's a very good question. But that's the reality.
So what you're saying is some of us are going to the National Lotteries Commission under false pretenses. It's not about doing the project that we are saying we want to do.
Look, the lotto has become so stringent with the rules and regulations that it will be difficult. I was just using it as an example. But it doesn't matter where I get that funds. We have, for instance, had a school or almost like a organization that cared for disabled children. And when they got the lotto money, but this is now 12 years ago, 10 years ago, the parents fired the executive director.
Okay, so we're in an institution that's taking care of children with disabilities.
Yeah.
Then we get money, and then who's firing who?
The parents. Because she used the parents as board members, which is a no-no. You don't do that.
Why are the parents not supposed to be board? Let me tell you why sometimes you're doing it and without malicious intent. Sometimes your families are the ones that are easily going to buy into your vision and support you. So you know that these people get your heart, they get what you're trying to do. So let's get them on board to be my board members.
That's you can't have family members on your board. It is not allowed. It's against the law.
Okay.
Because you can imagine. So now the two of us decide, well, you know, this is a lot of money and we do a lot of work. We started this organization. We should be rewarded. And that's how it starts. So it's not that you can't have parents on the board. You can have a person representing the parents on the board. But if you only have parents on the board, it's a big problem because what happened in that case, the parents said, well, we have all this money in the bank. So let's get rid of the executive director and
The parents went rogue.
Yeah, and in the end, that organization obviously collapsed.
Yeah, this is problematic on so many different levels.
We've seen amazing things.
But let's not go down that rabbit hole. How we got here is you are helping us assess our readiness, or what do you call that
Proficiency.
How proficiently we are running this NPO.
Yeah.
We've looked at board composition, and sometimes it doesn't exist, but you show us how to do that.
Yeah.
Then we looked at minutes of meetings, and sometimes we're not writing them down, but we've got templates on your website which we can use. Then we looked at, what was the third thing that we looked at?
Financial management.
Financial management.
How do you do your books? People, for instance, sometimes we get NPOs that get funding, but they don't write out a receipt or a thank you note. So how are they expecting to get more funding? Yeah.
So is that just a governance issue, or is that we're on the skirk, or?
I think it is a governance issue. A lot of times it's people don't understand the importance, depending on obviously the leader of that organization, you know, and their level of understanding. But you get, and then very few NPOs have risk management plans.
Tell me about a risk management, because this is the first time I'm ever hearing about a risk management plan in the context of an NPO. I think I told you I've spent a lot of time in logistics and supply chain management, and there will be times when we'll be tendering for business, and then we will be asked for a business risk, not business, a disaster recovery plan. Is that similar to what you're talking about in this context?
Yeah, I guess it will be similar.
Okay.
But it's looking at everything. If the leader dies, who's going to take over?
Yes.
If the equipment fails or is stolen, do you have insurance to cover it? Very few NPOs have insurance. Do you know that as a board member you can be sued personally? So do you have insurance to cover your board members? There's insurance like that in South Africa that you can take out.
So within the NPO board, who's supposed to be taking that insurance? Each individual board member.
It depends. It's an agreement between a decision the board makes. So either the organization pays for it or the board members themselves.
But Oxalayo, that insurance must be taken care of.
Well, if I'm a board member, I'll insist on it.
But we don't even have board members that understand this is a
I
requirement.
know, that's the challenge. So that's why we headhunt board members, people that can actually add value, open doors, fundraise for us. You know, in America, the board members fundraise for the organizations. In South Africa, the board members wants to be paid taxing to come to the meetings.
This just points to just a huge lack of understanding. Okay, so we were now talking about the
Governance, financial management, basic compliance, risk management.
risk management.
Yeah.
So you explaining what needs to be contained in the risk management.
Yeah.
If the founder dies, who's taking over? What is the recommendation? What's the best case scenario? How do you handle this?
Well, you have to have a succession plan in place. So if something happens to me, who's going to be in the gap? Are you going to advertise the position to the public out there, or someone in the organization going to continue?
Oh my goodness.
Are the board members going to stand in the gap and take some of the responsibility? So all of that is in the succession plan. And then it's about equipment, it's about insurance. COVID, we even have policies for COVID. Everything is on our LMS platform. And for people to develop HR policies, financial policies, a risk management plan, a strategic plan, a business plan, if you have to do all of that, it's going to take you years.
Time.
And if you buy it, it's going to cost you at least 50,000 Rand to have all of those things.
Where can you buy them?
On our LMS platform.
Is it? For people that aren't in this space, LMS means what?
Learning management system. So for instance, what happened was when COVID came, we decided, okay, what are we going to do, because we can't continue with our programs. So we decided, well, now is the time, because we've always talked about it, we've always planned for it, but we never had the time. So all our learnerships, all our learning programs are now online available. So our NPO development program, for instance, it's 2,990 Rand. You go on, you watch all the videos, it's classes, PowerPoints on basic compliance, how do you do a SWOT analysis, how do you do a strategic plan, how do you run your finances, everything that you could ever possibly want to know about NPO is on there, plus all the templates, the policies, the plans, even the contracts for your volunteers are on there.
Contracts for volunteers?
Yes.
Why do I need a contract with a volunteer?
It's very important because a lot of NPOs are taken to CCMA by volunteers.
Stop the lorry. How can you're a volunteer and I don't have a contract with you? I haven't given you any written thing. So on what basis do you take me to the CCMA?
Well, if you don't have a contract with them, they could say that you told them, you created an expectation that they will become a paid employee. How do you prove that that wasn't the case? Only if you have a contract with them saying that you cannot guarantee them employment and that volunteer. You see, in South Africa, we have a mixed up perception of volunteerism. Overseas volunteerism means you go without pay, without getting a cent, you volunteer your time because you grow personally, you learn new skills, and you can use it, and possibly it opens new doors. But in South Africa, now everybody's get paid a stipend. So nobody wants to volunteer unless they get paid a stipend. That's not volunteerism. So we have completely screwed. That's not a nice word.
No, it's not a nice word. But I think we get
the whole idea of volunteerism is skewed.
Is it?
Yeah. So now it's a problem, and now volunteers take the NPO to CCMA and say, yeah, but I've been volunteering here for 3 months and they still don't pay me. And then, but you're a volunteer, you came to them and they told you they're not going to be able to pay you. No, but that's not what they said. They said, eventually the only way to cover yourself is to have a contract saying you're volunteering for this specific task, this specific times without pay. Or if there's a stipend, then to specify what the stipend is.
Okay, so in this toolkit, you've got a template for how to structure a volunteer's contract.
Yes. Also, you need to have a contract with your board members as well, and a job description.
Tell us.
In the European countries, America, they have a written contract with their board members where they have to fundraise a certain amount. They have to contribute personally to that organization a certain amount.
At the front door.
And every year they go through a process where they do like a performance assessment of the board.
Are you for real?
I am.
But that's serious. That's proper. I don't know if I like, but this is a discussion. Mm-hmm. So we come to a point and we agree that it's not going to be loaded upon me, and I'm assuming I'll have the ability to negotiate and say, okay, I can actually fundraise this amount. Beyond that, I can't.
Yeah.
And this is what I can personally donate. Beyond that, I can't.
It's not unrealistic expectations.
Okay,
and
but it's documented.
Yeah.
Wow, in black and white. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then how do you fire a board member then? Or how do you fire a volunteer?
That's another thing. In South Africa, you have to put in your constitution the term of that board member. So what makes it, and we've all have tales to tell about good board members and bad board members. So if you have that constitution and say my board member's term is 2 years, to be reviewed for a possible another 2 years, that would be ideal, because in that 2 years you're going to know, is this person here for the benefit of the organization, or are they here to sabotage? Because you get a lot of board members that sabotage organizations and really hurt organizations because they've got hidden agendas.
What is the hidden agenda?
They want to, every board member obviously has their own idea.
Yes.
But if you get someone that is there because of their ego,
yes,
and they don't get enough attention, they will revert to very creative ways to get it.
This is a thing?
It is a thing.
But remember, we are here to make sure that hungry children get fed and needy people get support. So
unfortunately, not all board members have that intention. It's about, I want this to be on my CV because it's going to look good so that I can secure the next position, or this CEO of this company is here and I want to meet the CEO. I want to network. There are many tales to tell. So it's a reality in South Africa. It really is.
You know what I'm really struggling with now? When I look at the ECD space, most of those are non-profit organizations. Some of these people don't have a business background or any, so they have no even cooking clue about a board or a contract. Like you said, they just want to solve a problem. We were talking to an NPO the other day, and how they started is some of their members from the church were in Soweto, and they saw an early childhood development center which was on a lunch break, and the little kids, they were eating, but the kids from the neighborhood that were not enrolled there were not eating, and they were looking across hungrily. And that was how the NPO started. So there was no concept or notion of there must be a board and a constitution and a contract. And these people, a lot of them are still volunteers. There was no concept of volunteers must have agreements. We must be clear with them that we're not paying them and this is what they're doing.
No, that's how most CBOs start, and that's where my board lies. I've helped a lot of those leaders to say, guys, you have the heart, but don't expect your volunteers or your board members necessarily to have the same heart. We have to be realistic. We have to have realistic expectations of people. So how are we going to help you to protect yourself? How are we going to help you to grow this organization so that you can actually have a real impact, so that you can duplicate yourself, so that you can bring in more volunteers, more beneficiaries, because that's our heart. How do we empower other NPOs to become effective and productive?